Quantitative research is a formal, it's an objective and a systematic way that we use to analyze numeric data. It helps us to quantify behaviors. It helps us to quantify opinions and other variables. So when you're dealing with quantitative, it's a form of approach that is mainly used to test relationships and validate the theories. Okay? Whereas the other uses an inductive, this one uses a deductive method. We are testing already existing theories. Qualitative creates theories. Okay? So the purpose of quantitative research is number one, to quantify behaviors and opinions of other variables. So it is there to transform these observable phenomenon into measurable data. Number two, quantitative research is there to test these theories and these hypotheses. So researchers use quantitative methods to confirm or to refute these assumptions. Quantitative research is also there to generalize findings from a sample to a larger population. So that's why we use quantitative. So to use a small sample to represent the entire sample or population size. So we call that to use inferences. So that's what we call generalization. So if I'm able to get from a small pot and say there is enough salt, so it will be enough to generalize this information to say the pot has too much salt or enough salt, right? So that's what quantitative research is all about. It's also able to help us identify causal relationships and correlations. So quantitative research is there to help us do what? To identify causal relationships. So it helps us determine whether and how variables are related. So the characteristics of quantitative research are as follows. Number one, quantitative research uses what? Statistical. It it has what? Structured and systematic approach. It uses statistical tools. It is objective. Um, it uses clearly defined research questions and hypotheses. It uses large samples. It's replicable. These are the characteristics of quantitative research. So it uses a structured and systematic approach. So this research is conducted using what? Predetermined procedures. They're instruments that are standardized and protocols. It uses tools to analyze mathematical models, tools like SPSS, Stata, ARA. Okay? It is objective and unbiased. So it uses tools such as structured questionnaires, standardized tests. Quantitative research clearly defines the research questions or hypothesis. So the study will start with a focus question or assumption that can be tested. It uses large samples and larger groups to improve accuracy. So it is also replicable, meaning the process can be repeated over different settings to verify. That's why there's validity that we're going to talk about. So there are different types of quantitative research. Anyone who remembers the types of quantitative research? There are different types of quantitative research. We have descriptive, correlation, we have experimental, we have quasi-experimental, longitudinal. These are the different types of quantitative research. Can somebody explain the descriptive, what is involved in the descriptive? The types of research designs that we have descriptive. So what is involved in the descriptive research designs? So in descriptive, we're basically making use of what? It is used to describe the characteristics of functions of a particular phenomenon. So under descriptive research, it focuses on what is happening, what exists. Examples of descriptive: what is the average age of students at Unilas? It provides summaries using the mean, the median, percentages. The other type of quantitative research is correlation. Correlation is used to explore the relationships between two or more variables. So it focuses on um, determining whether there is a strong relationship or not. So is there a relationship between the number of hours one has and the CA? So correlation does not imply causation. Okay, correlation just measures the strength. It doesn't measure causality. The other types are experimental research. So experimental research, you want to investigate cause and effect in terms of relationships. Experimental wants to measure causality. So under experimental research, you want to focus on the use of independent and dependent variables, how long the control and the experimental groups, how do they get along? For instance, how a teaching method will improve performance. So experimental uses random assignment to strengthen validity. We also have quasi research and longitudinal research. What is involved in quasi experimental? Under quasi experimental, it is similar to the experimental research, but used when random assignment is not possible. So here it focuses on the effect of an intervention or treatment in real life settings. For instance, you want to evaluate the impact of an intervention in a real life classroom where randomization is not possible. So we have longitudinal research, which is used to study the changes and developments in the same subjects over time. So it tracks variables across extended periods, months, and decades. So for instance, you are tracking students' academic performance from grade 1 to grade 12. Use longitudinal and use panel data. The benefits that you are able to identify trends, able to identify the patterns. This is under longitudinal. Please take note because I'll ask questions at the end of this session. We're dealing with what? Quantitative research. So what are the key concepts in quantitative research? We're going to look at the dependent variables, independent variables, and the control variables. What are dependent variables? What are independent variables? What are control variables? I've been singing this song over and over. What do we mean by independent and dependent variables? So you need to understand that research in quantitative research is designed for you to conduct and understand these studies. So there are some of the concepts that will help us make this research systematic and accurate. So the variables in research refer to any characteristic or attribute that can be measured or categorized and can um, uh, cut across individuals over time. So we have what we call independent variables. So this is a variable that is manipulated or changed, or it can be categorized by the researcher to observe the effect on another variable. So this is also known as a predictor or a treatment variable. For instance, if you want to look at the effect of diet on weight, so the type of diet is independent, you can manipulate it. We also have dependent variables. A dependent variable is a variable that is being measured, that is being observed, the outcome of interest. For instance, in the same study of diet, weight loss or weight gain is what? The dependent variable. We also have control variables. These are factors that are kept under control in the study that do not influence the dependent variable. So these are used to improve external validity, like the age, the gender, the physical activity. Those are called control variables. We also have mediating variable and moderating variables. Who can tell me what mediating variables are and moderating variables? What are mediating variables? What are moderating variables? Okay, then we go to what is called a hypothesis. A hypothesis is used in quantitative research. A hypothesis is used in quantitative research. A hypothesis is a specific testable prediction that is derived from a theoretical framework. So it suggests a possible relationship between two variables. So there's what we call the null and the alternative hypothesis. So the null hypothesis states that there is no effect or no relationship between the variables. And null hypothesis serves as a default assumption that the researcher aims to test. So when we say there's no difference between academic performance and in terms of those who attend online or those who attend in person, so that is your null hypothesis. It assumes there's no what? There's no effect. We also have what is called the alternative hypothesis. It poses that there is a significant effect. So this is what the researcher hopes to support. So if the person who came in person performed better than that one who came online. So we are testing the hypothesis. We can either reject the hypothesis in favor of the alternative. So whenever we reject the hypothesis, it means we are agreeing that there's an impact. So in quantitative research, we also have the key terms. What is a population? What is a sample? What is sampling error? Okay. What is a population? A population is simply a complete set of individuals relevant for a study. For instance, in your class, GPA 700, you are 100. That is the entire population. But if we decide to pick 50 out of there, that is what? A sample representing the entire population. So if we want to calculate the overall CA for the entire class of 100, maybe you're getting your CA on average, people are getting 22. But if you sample those some 50 and you get 25, the difference between the sample and the actual population CA is what we call sampling error. So these are some of the terminologies that you need to acquaint yourself with, right? So terminology, population, sample. A sample is a subset of the entire population. Okay. Then you can look at the types of sampling methods. What types of sampling methods do we know? What type of sampling methods do we know and explain them? I've shown you there. Just need you to expand.
That's right.
Pardon? So
I know.
So population, I said, is the entire group of individuals. Then we have what we call targeted population. Targeted population is a specific group that we endeavor to draw conclusions from. Okay. Then we also have what we call a sample, which is a subset of the entire population.